Life, wisdom,
Psyche Truth, massage.
This is Athena Jezik, and we've got Mackenzie here. Mackenzie works out quite a bit, and she works a lot with her arms and does some, work with heavier objects and really developing what she's doing, working on a program. So there's always a little bit different issue that comes into somebody who's working out. Oftentimes you'll find lactic acid trapped in tissues. You want to make sure range of motion is working well. Don't help me with this. Just stay relaxed. Yeah, that's good. And so we're going to work, because she's sore, up through the pectoralis area and upper arm, probably down in the forearm too, but we'll deal with that one a little bit later. Okay. So I'll start on this side and apply a little bit of oil. I do not do sports therapy per se. That's got some different techniques to it, and it works differently with athletes and with pre-massages and during event massages and post-massages. So I'm just going to do the basic massage work, and starting down here at the elbow and working up the bicep, which there is a rippling kind of washboard effect, a feeling of that. Because she does have stiffness in the arms, more than likely there's a little bit of lactic acid, and if their weights were heavier, a little micro tearing happening, then that might be some of the discomfort. So when you're doing work with just post things, and you're not trained in the athletic stuff, make it be not too rough, too deep, at least right off the bat, because there may be some micro tearing going on. Now here, right along the edge of the deltoid, and possibly about where the attachment for the pectoralis is really suffering. It's very tight, and it's not feeling like it is clear. It feels like it's got some lactic acid in it. So we'll just work around the deltoid and come back into it. We're going to get into this deltoid, into the pectoralis, going underneath, picking that up right underneath the pec. And then you have this little thin muscle here. That's very easy. You can get both sides of it. And you can work it down. Sorry, sometimes it tickles. Sorry. I should have. But we are getting it moved. Now here's the other thing. In that I know lymphatic drainage, when there's that kind of tension going on, I also do a little bit of draining. When I think that there's lactic acid in that tension, I'll do a little lymph drainage just to help the lactic acid get out of the system. Now that I know, that is one thing about that area, is it is ticklish, so be aware. Okay, I'm going back there, so I'll go slower. If they do have a tickly thing, you want to go slower into it, not quite as dramatically as I did. Working on Karina, there wasn't quite that sensitivity, so I was a little unconscious to it being possibly a sensitive area for Mackenzie. And up over the shoulder. Okay, and then for this arm, just keep it relaxed. Don't help me lift it. One of the things that you'll find is the muscles are volunteer muscles, and they do like to be in control, and it's kind of hard sometimes to allow somebody else to move your arm without helping. So if you're doing the work on somebody and you find that it's not allowing you to do the movement, but rather they're helping, try to remind them of it. More natural to to be in control of that movement than it is to let it go. So I'm just taking her in a little stretch there. And back down. And this is real good. She's real relaxed in this. And back up. And pay attention if there's tension. Let me know if it's anything that's not comfortable. And we can take it this direction. By doing this, you can tell if there's any kind of restriction around that joint from muscles that have been overworked. This does feel better. Peck, this feels better. And of course, it's important to get the parts that are closer into the clavicle and sternum. At least get the pectoralis along there, because that feels real good sometimes to get into that rib and sternum area. Okay. And of course you can connect the neck in as well, but that's not where we're going to go with that right now. So when you're working with somebody, I have said a few times to make the routine to where you're moving from one muscle group to the other. So as you can maybe see is that if you're working somebody's shoulder, you can then just work up into the neck. If you're going to have the time to do it, you could just move into the neck and the other side of the neck and down and around, and pretty much have a nice little routine that just organically occurs. So please be mindful of moving from one muscle group to the other. It feels very natural and very organic that way. And it's relaxing to the person on the table. There's some kind of continuity to it. So here we have the other arm, and again, I'm having to work around camera angles. So I'll get myself positioned in a minute once I get some of this oil on. Okay, I'm going to take this arm and just set it. Is it comfortable there? Is that comfortable? Okay. And here we go. So it's pretty much the same thing working up the bicep. Now, this arm feels like it's not quite as tight as the other one. So when you feel one a little bit tighter, oftentimes it is the dominant side, but not always. We are a little bit asymmetrical in one side being stronger, one side having a little bit more muscle tone than the other. It's not always, real asymmetrical, but everybody does have a little bit of asymmetry because we do have a side that's dominant. So here you can see a little differently how to work that upper arm. You want to be careful of the inside of the arm because there are a lot of nerves that run down there. There's veins, and you don't want to get into some of that stuff with a lot of pressure. So be careful as you work up into the arm. When it feels kind of soft and not like you're on a muscle, but like you're between a muscle, then you've got some different structures underneath you. So that's where looking at an anatomy book is good, so that you know the landmarks and you know what's underneath these things. And that way you can do the best work without creating any kind of harm or stress on the body. And I'm moving in to work this side of the pec first. You don't necessarily have to keep the routines exactly the same, but you just want to be sure you cover the same area, not miss anything. And now we're going to go under the pec here, and now that I know there's a little sensitivity, we're going to run slow up into it, grab that muscle, and then, yeah, it's kind of tight. And then a little draining. Let me see if I can figure this out. I'm going to take the range of motion, and in that, this is very odd for me. And to the side, you can check. And when I do that, there's a slight traction that I'm doing with this. Okay, relax. You can check how well their arms are relaxed when you move them back and forth. And that's very good. There we go. We can work up into the neck if we were doing that. And then you can just get a little bit back behind into the scapular area on the back of the ribs. Okay, so there's a little bit of work for the upper arm. It might give you some ideas. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I laughed.
It's okay. I didn't mean to tickle you. I didn't mean to tickle you.
That was so funny. It felt really good, but I was like, oh my gosh, nobody's ever really touched me there. It's probably weird.
Well, it was cute.